Us Patriots, welcome back. Jump on in into the back of the Grand Torino. Let's go for a spin and let's have a look around at what's popping up that we need to talk about. Before I begin, don't forget, press the like button, press the subscription button and the bell, and you'll be reminded of future conversations here on the Grand Torino. You know the diatribe. Get it done, get it sorted. Press like and don't forget to share on your own platforms if you agree on the topics here presented. Um, Want to thank you all for your great comments, messages of support, constant stream of information coming in via the website www.grandtorino.ie. Keep your comments coming, keep your suggestions coming, keep your submissions coming to the website. Also, contact me on Twitter. Love the interactions there, and I find the mute button so very therapeutic. Blah, blah, blah. But how can you engage if you're not willing to listen? Because you won't even open your ears to anything that I'm saying without going, racist, you bloody racist. I'm spinning off. Speaking, I have some exciting suggestions coming up. Some different ideas. I have what can only be. Someone once described me as the Alex Jones in the middle of a stream, the Irish Alex Jones. I, I did laugh a wee bit. I did chortle. But saying that, I've recently been contacted, and I want to poll to you here before I jump off into my next topic. Leave your comments in the comment section down below, and give me a list of five products, be they minerals, your minerals, your day-to-day sort of stuff, top five stuff that you would, go out and buy. And I'm delighted to announce that I will be forming a deal pretty soon with a new organization starting up that's looking to challenge Amazon's dominance. It's known as Megazon.us. It's in the early stages, in the embryonic stages, but it's just about to launch. And what I'd like to suggest to you is that in an affiliation, go via the Gran Torino website, that there will be the list of products the top five products that you should point out to me in the comment section below, where I will see if I can product placement then in that website. But just to touch with you and give me a little poll, little sampling of the suggested products that you'd like to see available on the Gran Torino website. Also, we're going to be starting the merch. We've got logo designs, t-shirts, hoodies, all the usual paraphernalia. Anything you think you want to buy, contribute. If you want to submit submissions of artistry for t-shirts, t-shirt designs, we'll work out a deal. And you'll get a percentage, you'll get a cut. But just for logos for that, you'd like to interact here with the Gran Torino. And speaking of branding, brings me succinctly on to the beginning of this video presentation. You thought the United States was the only one with a gay pride police force. But oh no, An Garda Síochána have delightfully accepted the challenge and have come up with this branding to show their affiliation of their support of the gay disco. Yes, we in Ireland are stuck here in a month-long celebration of the gay disco. And I say that jovially, I say that in a spirit of jest, because the phrase was coined by E. Michael Jones when I last interviewed him. And it's a perfect analogy, because not only do we have to celebrate the rainbow colours, which, if you remember your theology, and which I've recently come to my understanding, was God's promise not to flood the earth again. That's what the rainbow was for. But now it's being taken over and used to promote the gay disco here in Ireland. Not only have I seen An Garda Síochána with their rebranding of some taxpayer-funded police cars, they're following in suit in line with the American agenda, which, if you look at what happens in the States, eventually transpires to over here in the culture wars. And what seems to be what's drawing my attention is the phenomena which I tweeted out yesterday of drag queen kids. The phenomena of drag queen kids. This this is a picture here of Amazing Desmond. Amazing Desmond. If you go to your Brave browser and search there using the appropriate search engines, you'll see Amazing Desmond. That this is a child who's a phenomena in the United States of America and has been paraded on mainstream as the first open proponent of drag kids. And this, if you follow Amazing Desmond online, you'll see that he's been on mainstream television. He's been on late night drag shows in front of adults. Suspicions of drug taking. He's been interviewed by a murderer. He's been interviewed by paedophiles. These are actors, are people that their sexual proclivities were not known at the time of interacting with this child. And he's been pushed out by his mother. He's just a single parent, just him and his mother, and is being used to facilitate the sexualization of children. And the reason I draw your attention over to the United States, because as you can see here, in another gay pride parade in the United States, children are exposed to these images as these adults, which are displaying themselves in the public arena. And we also have parents bringing their children to these displays in the gay disco, as Michael Jones coins the phrase. We here in Ireland are living for a month long, as they are around the rest of Europe and the world, in the gay disco for a month. Again, my criticism is why it started off as a week. Now we're going for a month. Now we're having the signage, the rainbow flag, pretty much installed as a flag of domination. You will hear our message. You're not oppressed anymore. You're not oppressed anymore. It's just get on with it. Get on with it. Why do the rest of us, have to put up with this? And then to see this agenda of the sexualization of children paraded as drag kids, and then that phenomena has now reached our shores here now with this young man here in Cork. This article, I'll leave the link in the description box down below, is from the Cork News Live, and it's Cork's youngest drag queen makes his prize winning debut. Again, you can read through the article yourself. Young Kevin and his mother are interviewed by the Cork Live, and it's his subjective story. It's his subjective life that he is leading and has brought him to this. But it's facilitated by the advent of the technology, that these children are now exposed to the makeup classes, and they're for boys and girls. Don't be such an old homophobe. It's nothing to do with that. Can you not see that allowing these images of children parading around in adult attire, in sexualized format, that it does not make for conducive behavior for the adults as they grow up? I think it sends out a wrong signal. And as I said to you before, the rainbow flag was originally God's sign, or it was described in the Bible as God's sign that he would not flood the earth again or not cause another great flood. But it's again being taken over and used as the spectrum of all sexualities. This, as I have forewarned and as I have said time and time again, is leading us on to the normalization, not only of the sexualization of children, but on the acceptance of pedophilia. And the reason I draw your attention to that is it's now creeping its way into the curriculum. We must take note as parents and as family men and as general well-to-do citizens of a normal functioning society. This has just been proven by Gript when Neil O'Mahony of Renew posted it out. And it's entering into new curriculum, entering into here in Ireland. I did have another PDF format which was being pushed by the UN, but this one here is now entering into our children's curriculum, and it's designed for age groups 0 to 4, the development of the human body. And as you can see down here, the sexuality is discussed between 0 and 4. Underlined then is the enjoyment and pleasure when touching one's own body, early childhood masturbation. For years 0 to 4. What the fuck business has any child that age knowing about any of these? How could you even convey that to a 0 or 4 year old child? How have we allowed this nonsense to creep in to what is public education system? Absolutely despicable. And the comparison I make, and the reason I bring that up, is because of this picture here, which is now seeped into the 8th grade format in California, the cesspit of socialism, shit on the streets, excuse my tongue, but we need to speak openly and clearly. Look at the requirements of 8th graders and the sexual content that they are now being educated from over in the United States. I say these as early, that we must take heed of these early flag warnings, these early indicators that something is not quite right. I as a parent would not want my child educated or to have any discussion brought about between the ages of 0 and 4. They're not even old enough to change their nappies and feed themselves. What business have they got adults conveying this message to them? It's completely wrong. Again, I'll leave links to these pictures, or you can go source them yourself. That's publicly accessed information there, as is the 8th grade teachings in California, which is now becoming present. So that leads me on then to this article here. So we've got the socialists, as we'll say, starting to indoctrinate the children younger and younger, and by indoctrination, the propagandizing of younger children to accept this as normalcy is completely corrupt, and I call the government out on that. Anna Kavanagh, who I follow on Facebook, she does amazing work. We don't agree on all tenets and all points. Made a comment in my Facebook post there that I support her work and her endeavours. She covers a lot of very difficult subjects involving Tulsa and child protection agencies. But here Anna points out with the Irish Examiner, hundreds of sex offenders move from registered addresses without telling Gardaí, and they haven't a clue where they are. Anna reports here 421 individuals with sex convictions left their registered addresses since 2010 without telling Gardaí, despite being legally obliged to do so. It would appear that the Gardaí have no idea where they are. Now, you may think I'm conflating too, but now we have, as reported in the mainstream Irish Examiner, that which must be believed in all circumstances, that there's 421 registered sex offenders running our streets, and we have no idea to where they are. Meanwhile, academia is teaching 0 to 4-year-olds of sexual pleasure, masturbation, complete fucking nonsense. And now we have down in Cork, and we have the promotion of drag kids, completely wrong. Serious questions need to be asked, not only about the sex offenders which running wild on the street. Whereabouts are these sex offenders? What menace to society? What menace to society? So if we're to believe the Irish Examiner as the bastion of all truth, then I draw your attention to this article here, again written by the Irish Examiner, and they purport from Joyce Fagan on Monday, yesterday just gone, dozens of far-right social media accounts said to be spreading misinformation in Ireland. Now, if you disagree with anything I've said, it's all publicly sourced information, publicly sourced photographs. I am trying to draw your attention to the parallels between the culture war in the United States with the promotion of the sexualization of children, to back here again with the the sexualization of children, with drag queens and drag kids, as they want to call. Then the Irish Examiner tells us that 421 paedophiles, sex offenders, are running loose on our streets, and Gardaí have no idea what to do about it. But then this report here, and I'll read this one here and I'll finish up on this. Hate Track report identified 6,000 incidences of racially loaded and or sexist hate speech in a year, either on dedicated ideological websites or on platforms such as Facebook's. And don't forget, now on Facebook, you can't even use the word honk has now been banned from Facebook. So I draw your attention to the use of language. They're controlling our use of language. And I draw your attention to this article, the use of language on this. I'll read straight through. Dozens of far-right social media accounts are operated from Ireland, and some have as many as 40,000 followers. They spread misinformation and harass specific groups of people. Social media facilities the rapid spread of ideas, and hate speech is no exception, says Ireland's Hate Track report. Hate Track, Tracking and Monitoring Racist Speech Online, published late last year, is a joint report between DCU, the Irish Research Council, and the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission. The 12-month project tracks 6,000 incidences of racially loaded toxic speech by automatically monitoring messages posted to social media. They're snooping on you, as they say. Language that sought to dehumanize groups of people was common, as were the spread of race science myths that something along the lines of IQ and interbreeding among certain other cultures. Demonstrably peer-reviewed journals on the subject, and it's conflated as the research also referred to as coded racism, as it's not overt racism, but because they're hiding it behind the use of facts, it's coded racism. Using seemingly plausible arguments, online users said things such as, "It's not racism that's going on in Ireland, it's survival of the fittest." People would then call out this rhetoric as racist, would be jumped on and called other oversensitive or accused of being racist against white people. This kind of toxic speech, which seeks to flip or reclaim victimhood, is part of the far-right ideology that is making political gains in the US and Europe. No, it's that you won't talk about open borders and the welfare state. You can't have one without the other. So you're bringing up the victim card and trying to bring up the rise of the far right. Mary Fitzgerald, editor-in-chief of Open Democracy, said far-right leaders frequently attack topics such as gender ideology, saying it discriminates against men, especially domestic abuse legislation. These attacks come particularly from Prime Minister Viktor Orban in Hungary and Italy's Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini, bravo Salvini, who have aligned their religious conservatives globally with religious conservatives globally. More on that to follow. Keep your eyes on that. I won't say anything now. A couple of things cooking up in the background. But also from the far-right Vox party in Spain, which has vowed to roll back laws on domestic abuse, and from politicians from Poland's Law and Justice Party, who have pushed limits on conception and abortion, said Miss Fitzgerald. In the Irish Hate Track report, one of the key findings was the shared language between groups here and abroad. There are clear patterns of shared language between international and Irish groups, including the adoption of racist ideologies produced in the context of the United States and the European identitarian movement, reads the report. The bringing together of two ideas to conflate. Key terms include white genocide and population replacement, and the localised term new plantation. The report also found that racist comments were peppered with hate targeted at other groups. It found expressions of racism online are punctuated with misogynistic, homophobic and transphobic attacks directly targeting women and members of the LGBTQ or XTXYZ community. I added that part in. Of the hate speech, recurrent themes were found in the Irish digital sphere. Anti-immigrant and anti-refugee debate would also revolve around access to welfare and housing, moral deservedness, and the good versus bad immigrant trope. Well, if you don't know who they are, what their backgrounds are, how do you know if they're good or bad? I digress. Anti-Muslim hate speech contains several themes. Muslim men painted as sexual deviant, terrorism, and the clash of civilizations. The House of Dilwar. We are in the House of War. It's prescribed in the Quran. Again, it's in the book, read it. There were also incidences of attacks on second-generation Irish people, with debates centering around population replacement. Nothing to do with the gangs roaming the streets, smashing the hips of young children, attacking and leaving them naked. Sexual assaults, all perpetrated by what was reported as the same class of second-generation thugs and criminals, as prescribed here in the Irish Examiner. There are 4 barriers to people reporting it: freedom of speech, expression as an absolute right, racist speech is only uttered by people who are not worth dealing with. Reporting is pointless because there's so much racist speech online, and a bystander effect or disavowal of responsibility, with some respondents feeling that it was not their job to report anything. While users of toxic and racist speech often run their own focused social media pages, the Facebook pages of news outlets played important roles in the spread of their ideologies, according to Hate Track. The Facebook pages were used to channel racially loaded toxic content, inverted commas. Also discovered was the role of trigger topics such as terrorist attack, direct provision, refugees, and Islam. News articles about Muslims, Roma, and traveller appear to elicit dehumanizing racism irrespective of the article's context. Sensationalist headlines were also found to attract large volumes of hate comments. And the article concludes there. So they're inserting the buzzwords and driving the narrative that people who speak up are smeared as far right. You only have to look at myself and other YouTubers here online, the way we are viciously attacked for expressing our criticisms, our opinions on these very subjects. But they are loading the words up now and loading the language up to drive a fervour of hate towards people criticising the dominant ideology of socialism. And remember, socialism always ends in starvation and genocide. I'll have that t-shirt from the Big Bear. Look, I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible. Not attacking anything else. I'm raising these issues up because I feel we should have these topics more closely discussed by our mainstream news organisations, which fail to facilitate the proper discussions. I do not believe children between 0 and 4 should be allowed, taught or spoken about anything in a sexual context, but about self-masturbation is complete buffoonery, and we are living in the upside down world, dark to light, or clown world, if you want to talk to it. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, short little one from me. I'll be out and about, a couple of important interviews coming up, some travels on the horizon, which I intimated towards in that article there. Couple of events coming up on the horizon. I won't speak about it just yet, because and also want to welcome and a big heidi hey ho to Channel 4 with your doorstepping. And I see you were rightly scorched earth by our own top new YouTube sensation. You know who you are, and I believe everybody can see from the stream that you reported and the way you conducted yourself there. Channel 4 seem to be being brought in to figurehead a smear campaign, which I'll also direct your attention to another article which I'll link from Hope Not Hate, which cites yours truly here, and aligning myself and other peoples throughout Europe as far right conspirators and part of the rise of the far right. No, it's Christian conservative values. It's doing the right thing. I'll leave it there at that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on this short, brief episode of the Grand Torino. Don't forget, press the like button, press the subscription button and the bell, and you'll be reminded of future conversations. I want to thank you for your comments. Don't forget, leave your comments down below. I read through them all. Keep your emails coming, and don't forget, we need your help to keep the platform raised, and I direct your attention towards the donation section on the Gran Torino. And don't forget to leave your suggestions for top 5 products, your top 5 products of your minerals, vitamins, any of your day-to-day products. I'll take a pool of that, and I'll have a sample page up on the website to follow soon enough. Talk to you again on the next episode. Wuss.